Welcome, Ethan. Welcome, Jen. And welcome, Brock. As you guys are coming in, if you would, in the chat box at the bottom, go ahead and find the chat box. If you would, please let us know what city and state you're coming from. Welcome, Michelle, Matthew. As you guys are coming in today, just let us know what city and state you're coming in from. In Matthew's case, if you're coming in from another country, if you would, let us know that as well in the chat box. Thank you.
Hey there, Carlos.
Nice to see you, sir.
You too, brother.
How's your week been?
Oh, so far so good, man.
Awesome. Okay. How you doing, Brock?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, man. Nice to see you here. So yeah, Matthew's from Toronto, Canada. So it's always good to have someone from Canada here. Appreciate the support. Right on. And as you guys are coming in, just let us know what city and state you're coming in from. And also, you could also in the chat box put in some of your contact info. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information, even though I'll have it at the end of the presentation as well, just so in case you guys need to reach me. And it's also a good way to segue into a good way for people to contact you, if you will. So definitely want to leave your contact information here. There you go. That's my basic information. That's my email, phone number, and company name. Welcome, Erickson. All right, so Brock, tell me a little bit, how was your week and what have you been up to lately?
It's been pretty good. I've just been signing up for a bunch of classes coming up here, some real estate stuff. Next week, I'm really kind of getting into it more and trying to just continue learning.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's a good way to get started for sure. The more you learn, the easier this becomes and the more great contacts you make as well. So that's always a plus. So that's great. And you're here in Atlanta, Georgia, right?
Yes, Ackworth, yeah, north of the city, yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And Ethan, could you go ahead, Brock? You were going to say?
I'm reaching out to the guy you referenced the other day for that property in Columbia. We'll see if it's something I'm eligible for. Yeah,
it might be late for this one, but the reason I wanted to refer you to him is because I figured you've met him already, right?
Yep. I've talked to him before, yeah.
Right, and then on top of that, I highly recommend him. And there's I've been meaning to get this to you, like a list of the people that I would recommend.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, because not everybody, because there's some people that they'll have great syndications and they have the experience and everything, but maybe their returns aren't the best, right? So like, let's say new construction, you're going to have great disposition when you go to sell, but in the meantime, your returns might not be that great.
Yep.
Right. So I was trying to find someone for you that you get great returns, who's experienced and who's highly recommended. So, yeah. I was going to say, Ethan, if there's anything you would like to share as far as, who you are and what you're currently doing in the multifamily space, all you need to do is unmute yourself and kind of introduce yourself to us here. I really appreciate that.
Can you guys hear me? I don't know how strong my microphone is.
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, great. So I'm Ethan Gao. I'm here in Houston, Texas. I've been a corporate attorney for 15 years and a financial advisor and real estate investor for about 6 years. I do primarily private money lending or fix and flip on single family houses. And recently I've been interested in multifamily and specifically being a key principal or a balance sheet partner. I hold quite a lot of liquidity, just generally speaking, in various life insurance policies that I own. So I figured, one of my friends told me I might be a really good fit for somebody that needs liquidity and net worth for a deal.
Right on, definitely. And yeah, I mean, a lot of times people have their whole setup going and the only thing they're really missing is the equity, if you will, or the capital. And so I'm glad that you're with us. So thank you for sharing. Erickson, if you want to go next and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're currently doing in the multifamily space, please unmute yourself and you could go ahead.
I'm currently in Stafford, Virginia, active duty Marine Corps, coming from the single family home space. Me and my wife have 3 rentals. We also have a Airbnb rental that we do, and we've done 1 flip, looking to take our first step into apartments and mobile home parks. So we're here to learn, network, and hopefully partner up. Our focus, or my focus really in skill set, is underwriting, deal sourcing. So I work with that, and yeah, that's
perfect. Yeah, and you came through loud and clear. Your kids behaved for a split second there, so thank you for that. I really appreciate your introduction. Thank you. And yeah, and look forward to learning more about you in future shows. Hopefully you'll continue to join us. We also see Craig Holston has joined us. Craig, if you'd be so kind to go ahead and share.
Hey, how you guys doing? Yes, my name's Craig. I'm in Atlanta market. I'm pretty much a newbie to the multifamily world. I've dipped and dabbed in the single family world for maybe 6 years as a wholesaler, investor, flipper. Actually had rentals until I recently just sold all of them off, pursuing the multifamily world. And so I have a little bit experience in the multifamily world, but I did get my ass handed to me as I started. So I guess I'm seasoned from that portion, but I am starting over again and doing things the right way with the right partners, and just looking to network with more people.
Right on, that sounds great. Yeah, and I love that you're here in Georgia. Brock, to my left or my right, is actually also here in Georgia, and we do have some other investors that we meet up and network a lot, and so you're definitely in the right place. Welcome, Craig.
Awesome.
And thank you. And today we have what I would refer to an additional special guest. He might not even know that he's a special guest, but he is to me, and that's Ankit. So thank you so much for joining us today, Ankit. I really appreciate your time. And if you would, just unmute yourself and go ahead and unmute yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got going on in the multifamily space.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the intro. Hi, everyone. My name is Ankit Bavishi. I'm based out of the Tampa area, looking at multifamily properties essentially in the Southeast, mostly Florida, as well as Atlanta and even parts of Texas. But my background's in investment banking. I spent the last 10 years in the mergers and acquisitions and capital raising space for middle market companies. Along the way, I knew I wanted to get into multifamily space. So I recently left my job in January to jump into this full time. I formed a company called Blue Acre Capital, where we're looking at multifamily properties, less than 100 units. My strength, given my background, is underwriting and analysis. So, I also have a partner. He's a commercial real estate attorney. So he handles kind of our transaction execution stuff, and I handle all of our acquisitions and underwriting. So it's very nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, thanks for that intro. And just so you guys know, you guys that were here last month's meetup, Ankit was a gentleman that I kept mentioning when I was talking about Demetrius lending me his underwriter. So just so you guys know, this is a face that I was referring to. Super helpful. When he was doing our analysis, he was going in depth with all the information, stuff that wasn't even occurring to me. He knew how to find the details of the pricing on everything. So I highly recommend him. Now he does have where he charges for his underwriting. Obviously he had to, because he was getting so many investors reaching out to him for his underwriting services. So he's now charging, but I'll tell you, it's a reasonable fee, and I definitely recommend using him for your analysis. Great person just all around, but on top of that, extremely knowledgeable when it comes to underwriting. So thank you for joining us today, Ankit.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Anybody else here who hasn't gone and would like to kind of introduce themselves?
Sure, I'll go here.
Yeah,
Matthew, up in here in Toronto, Canada. Definitely brand new to this space. Recently got into real estate lending and working with an organization called eFunding Experts. Our founder, Jose Beza, he started the company 8 years ago or something like that. So he's well seasoned. I'm just learning it, scoping it out, and here to be a student and listening to what you guys are up to.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you for joining us all the way from Canada. I appreciate that. So yeah, today's meetup, basically the way we start the show, for those of you who don't know, basically it's multifamily meetup, multifamily investor nation, Monday meetup. And basically what we do is we talk about everything having to do with multifamily. Today's topic is going to be on negotiating and submitting your first multifamily offer, which is something that's near and dear to me, because that's what I'm aspiring to do. I'm aspiring to take down my first syndication. I have done, just a little bit about me, I have done some small joint ventures, 5 and 6 units back in the days in Florida. Basically started in 2001 as far as the acquisitions of the joint ventures, and we disposed of them between 2003 and 2005. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but they were small 5 and 6 units. But we did do joint ventures on those. I've done small flips, many flips actually, started in Florida with those as well. But once I got into Georgia, I decided to focus more on investing, right? And investing. So I started learning and trying to learn as much as I could. And that's what brings me here to Multifamily Investor Nation. And it's to syndicate our first deal. I mean, if you guys are here, you're possibly in the same process, or you've syndicated your deals already, or you're looking to continue to grow, or maybe find a system that works for you. So yeah, this is the topic for today, is negotiating. Anything else anyone else would like to bring up? If not, we'll jump into the content, and then after the content, we'll have time for more networking. And yeah, and then also, as you guys came in case any of you missed it, you could put in the chat box at the bottom of your screen, just put where you're coming in from. If it's from another state, just let us know what city and state, or just what state you're coming in from. And if it's from another country, let us know that as well. And I say that because we always get people coming in later, and just so they're up, aware of what we've been doing so far. So, okay, guys, so without further ado, let's jump into the topic. And bear with me, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my presentation here in just a second, and we'll go from there. Let me start by sharing my screen. I should have done that first. Okay, can you guys see my screen here?
Yes.
Can I get a thumbs up? Awesome, thank you. Awesome. All right, thank you for that, guys. All right, so yeah, as you can see, today's topic is multifamily meetup, multifamily investor nation meetups, negotiating and submitting your first multifamily offer. My name is Carlos D. Reinoso. I'm the co-organizer for this group, Multifamily Investor Nation, here in Georgia. I'm also the founder and CEO of Canis Major Investment Capital, LLC. Basically, it's a small investment firm. Our main process is syndicating deals here in Georgia, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, and all the southeastern states. I'm also a managing partner and general partner on different deals. And I'm the author of the book, Selling Secrets You Can't Afford to Miss, which Brock was kind enough to purchase and has given me good reviews on. So thank you, Brock, and thank you guys for that. Now, some quick announcements. While you're coming in, make sure to sign in the chat box. Let us know that your name, your company, if you're with a company, your title with that company, if possible, phone number, email, and email address, and any links that you would like to share. This would be a great place to share it. And, I'll make sure to put it in the video as well after the presentation is complete. Okay, so for everyone who does give us your email, there is a video. It's called How to Get Started in Multifamily. It's a webinar video, and it'll be provided to everyone who provides their email address. And we'll make sure that if we have your email, you will get it. And if not, you could email either myself, which I'll give you my email, or Stacy at multifamily investornation.com. Okay. Very important event coming up actually this Thursday, and that's going to be Multifamily Investor Nation Summit. It's pretty much a live 3-day event. Okay, the Multifamily Investor Nation Summit starts June 10th through the 12th. It's basically this Thursday through Saturday. And if you use my promo code Carlos100, you'll be able to save $100 off the price of admission. What we're talking about is negotiating, submitting your first multifamily offer. And in doing so, you definitely want to make sure that before the LOI, and for those who don't know, the LOI is the letter of intent. You're basically saying to the seller and the broker, this is our terms on this deal. This is what we're looking to purchase it at. This is how long it's going to take us. And all the other terms that might be involved are going to be going in the LOI. Now, the LOI is not binding in any way, shape, or form. So it's just basically an outline, and it's not like a contract. When you do a contract, you know, and everybody signs off, it's binding and everything else. In this case, you might not even receive a signature from the seller, but it's okay because it's non-binding. You definitely want to conduct a pre-LOI inspection. So the pre-LOI inspection basically is going to be when you're inspecting the property. When you first take a look at the property, you're still starting the letter of intent. You haven't even done the letter of intent yet. So this is pre-LOI. You want to just drive by the property, and if possible, bring your contractor. If you already have a contractor in your team, in the case of Multifamily Investor Nation, the contractor is Brandon Abbott. He's got many years of experience in the insurance world. He was an underwriter in insurance, so he knows how to price and appraise, if you will, the property and the different functions of the property. So like, let's say the water, the boilers, the AC units, whatever. So you want to take someone with you that could kind of have like a contractor's eye and tell you just off the cuff, just what is wrong with the property, or if there's anything that could be avoided to help you either avoid getting in the deal, or maybe get ready to negotiate that in the LOI if there's major CapEx expense that you might have to fix in the property. And what that's going to do, it's going to help you make sure that the deal pencils out. And before you put any earnest money down, you definitely want to make sure that you do your pre-LOI inspection. Again, if you could take a contractor with you, that's great. But this is not your due diligence inspection. This is your inspection before you even get into the LOI. Any questions so far? We're good? Okay, I'll keep going. All right, you want to underwrite the deal. When you're underwriting the deal, you definitely want to make sure that you've done, and Ankit could talk a little bit more on this. You want to make sure that you've got all the numbers that you can. To do that, you definitely wanted to have walked the property. You definitely want to have your underwriter get involved at this point. You want to have your insurance agent also involved at this point. And if you have a property manager or a managing partner that is well-versed when it comes to inspection and determining the overall CapEx of a property, you want to make sure they're there with you as well. And get everything pre-sorted. So by the time you sit down to underwrite your deal, you already have the majority of the numbers on that deal. Excuse me. Now, next, you want to get the pricing guidance. And what the pricing guidance is basically, it's kind of like some people would refer to it also as the whisper price. And what that is basically the price the seller is looking to get for his property for XY reason. So reasons could be the seller, needs to net a certain amount in order for it to be beneficial to them, in order for it to be profitable to them. That could be one reason. There's many reasons, but you definitely want to see what the seller, not just the price, but also what's their motivation. Why are they selling at this point? And that'll also help you with the pricing guidance, kind of get an idea of how much they're willing to budge on the price, if they're flexible on the pricing, or if they have a fixed price they need to net. And if you know for a fact that the price is going to be too high, then for instance, the seller wants 4 mil and you're coming in at 5 mil, you want to definitely find out why there's such a big delta between your selling price and the seller's selling price and your purchase price. So what is that difference in the pricing? And the broker could give you an idea. So you could talk to the broker, whoever's listing the property, and say, what do you feel is the seller's whisper price or guidance on this price? And we're coming in at, let's say, at 5 mil, and the seller's asking for 6 mil. So we're curious how he came across that number. So it's always a good way to touch base with either the seller, if you're working directly with sellers, or the broker, and kind of just get a better feel on the pricing. You want to submit the LOI at this point once you know what that whisper price is. If you both are in agreement on those terms, submit the LOI, and then you want to negotiate to strengthen the deal. Now, how do you negotiate to strengthen the deal? There's many terms that you could use that would help you alongside the pricing on that deal. So one of the things you could definitely do is going to be a shorter closing. So if you could close 30, let's say 60 days, as opposed to someone else who's closing on 90 days, then that's going to be beneficial to the seller. But speaking of beneficial to the seller, the main thing you want to do to strengthen your odds of getting the deal is to put yourself in the seller's point of view and say, if I was selling this property, what would I like to feel comfortable with the team who's bringing me the deal, who's bringing me the buying side? And what I would try to put myself in their shoes, literally, because the more you put yourself in the seller's point of view, the more you can understand what the seller is gonna accept and what's gonna push you over the top, as opposed to the other 35 offers that the seller's getting on the same property. Because that's another thing. When you're in this market, it's a hot market in every single state in the nation, and everybody's competing for the same deals. Even when you're hearing it's a off-market deal, off-market deals aren't always off-market. A lot of times they're just sending it to their tight-knit group and the people that they've worked with in the past. And if that includes you, blessings. But you definitely want to make sure that you're in on that, on the top team that the seller is going to choose for their deal. And the way to do that is to use favorable terms that are going to benefit the seller. Another term you could say, so most people are closing 30, 30, 30. So that would be 30 days due diligence, 30 days to raise capital and everything else, and 30 days to bring the property to a close. So maybe one of the terms you could do is you could say, okay, 21-day due diligence, 30 days to raise the capital, and 30 days to close, or maybe even an additional 15 days with one extension. So the shorter time frame, that is appealing to the seller. The higher the purchase price, obviously, is going to be appealing to the seller. And then you also want to know if you could put your money hard day one, In this market, that's almost always a guaranteed. You're going to have to go hard day one. And so that's something else that, you know, as far as terms that you can negotiate with the seller and say, listen, we're willing to do $100,000 hard, you know, our money going hard day one, because we know we're going to be able to close this deal. So that's going to give the seller more assurance, as opposed to someone else who's saying, it's probably going to take us 90 days and we're still going to need 2 other extensions. So, you know, put yourself in the seller's perspective. And then lastly, the waiting period, or almost the waiting period is also very important, because once the seller, you've given them your LOI, then the next thing you want to do is submit your PSA. And your PSA is your purchase and sale agreement. Excuse me. And with the purchase and sale agreement, you're gonna have to put everything that all the terms that you put in the LOI, transfer that over to the purchase and sale agreement, and now you're gonna have to wait to see what the seller has determined. So at this point, and the seller is going to be looking and reviewing all the offers that they've received, and that usually takes about anything from a couple days to a couple weeks. And I've even seen it take a little bit longer than that. But in that time frame, you know, that's a lot of times where I start biting my nails and I start getting nervous, because I want to make sure that I get awarded the deal. And you know, so one of the ways to assure yourself, or to be top of mind with the seller, is to continue checking in with the seller on a weekly basis. You know, you don't want to get to the point that, you know, you're annoying or you're a nuisance, but you do want to stay top of mind. And a good way to do that is to possibly, on a weekly basis, maybe send the seller a text, or the broker, send them an email, possibly invite the broker to lunch. And let me tell you, when you invite the broker to lunch, that's like the best investment you could ever make, because you're going to be able to get to know the broker better. But on top of that, you're going to be able to kind of get the information, pry the information out of the broker, and find out what the seller's motivation is. So that's going to be twofold for you. It's going to let the broker know who you are and find out more about you. You're going to find out more about them, and it's also going to help you find out more about the sellers as well. And lastly, the buyer call strategies after the LOI. So that's going to be a point where the seller is going to call you up, or the broker, and beforehand they're going to send you, and I know because I've gotten this close to the deal, to our offer being accepted. So they're going to send you like a questionnaire. Usually the questionnaire is anything from like 5 to 10 questions to as broad as like 4 pages worth, right? And basically, when you get that questionnaire, it's going to ask you, you know, basic information about, you know, where are you getting your equity from? Where are you getting your capital from? Do you have multiple sources of capital, or is it, you know, one main capital pool? Let's see what else. You know, they're going to want to make sure that you could execute and that you have the experience. They're going to ask you your experience. So how long have you been in this? What is your ultimate experience? Who's on your team? These are the questions that are going to come up in the questionnaire. And then be ready with those questions, because by the time the seller or the broker calls you up, they're going to be asking you on the questions you filled out on that questionnaire. And then, you know, depending on how you answer, you know, some people beat around the bush and they take too long to just answer the question, but you want to be very precise in your answers. You want to be very, come across confident and know what you're talking about, and not, you know, scrambling for answers and looking for stuff. You want to make sure that all your ducks are in a row and that you're ready to answer any questions the seller might have, and just be very natural, be very authentic, because when you're being fake or you're being, anything but yourself, people notice it, and that's a good deterrent to make the seller want to go somewhere else. And the more comfortable the seller feels with you, the better the odds that you're going to be awarded the deal. And so that's pretty much it. There is a few more things, and this is my contact info here. You have my Facebook page for my investment company. You have my personal LinkedIn here, my Instagram, and also my YouTube channel. But beyond that, I also want to tell you guys about Multifamily Investor Nation. They have a summit coming up this Thursday. And again, this group is all about Multifamily Investor Nation, as you can see up here. And they're having the summit. It's basically twice a year. It's a virtual summit. It takes place on Thursday of this week, which is the 10th through Saturday the 12th. And if you're interested in going, it's going to be a lot more of this. There's going to be experienced investors. Everyone from Multifamily Investor Nation is going to be there. Also, you're going to have Passive Investing Team, which is the investment firm from this company. And myself, I will be there. And if you want to go, just go to multifamilyinvestornation.com/summit and use my promo code Carlos100, and you'll save $100 off the price of admission. Once again, that promo code is Carlos100. It'll save you $100 off the price of admission. And the meetup is, the virtual summit is going to be from Thursday, 8 a.m. to usually about to 5 p.m. Then there's some VIP sessions afterward. And it's, chock filled with information. There's a lot of valuable information, experienced investors, newbie investors as well. And it's a great place to network. Last time I went, I believe there was about 500 investors. And each time that I go, the attendance grows more and more. So I would highly recommend it. And now I'm done. So I want to ask if there's any questions, any topics that you guys want to talk about. But first and foremost, any questions you guys might have about today's presentation.
I guess I got a question more about the the money going hard day one. Is that something you're seeing as pretty much essential at this point, given where we are in the market? And yeah, I guess that you have to be pretty comfortable with the deal, obviously, to submit that.
Yeah, and then I wish I could say that it's over now, that most people aren't requesting it or requiring it, but I'm still seeing it. It's still very viable in the market. A lot of people are still giving, and in fact, the deal that I was talking about that I've gotten as close to the buyer call, we lost it because we weren't able to go hard with the money. So that's why we lost the deal. So unfortunately, yes, it is still very viable in this market. Not as much as let's say 2020, when people were more worried about the COVID and everything else. But yeah, a lot of times that's some of the terms that people are using to guarantee that they get the deal. If you have a bigger institutional size investment group, they're going to be able to go hard on day one. And yeah, and I think the seller is going to be excited about that, because they're going to feel that, hey, worst case scenario, this deal doesn't go through, I know that I could, I could keep some of this money.
Yeah,
really all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've also heard that. So I've heard that some groups, not on the 300 million, 300 unit type deals, but sub 100 units. I've heard of syndicators essentially trying to find someone that will provide the money, like an investor, compensating them with equity for providing hard EMD money. Have you seen that at all, or where someone gets compensated for that risk essentially for taking that?
Yeah, so I've seen that with key principals where, so if they're coming in as a key principal on the deal, they're basically giving their financial information on that deal. And sometimes they're going to be putting up that hard money, however you negotiate that, right? But once they do, they are going to be expecting a return on that. And because it's such a high risk, right? They're risking all their capital up front. So they're obviously due a good piece of that, right? And so I do see that. I do see where it's negotiated. And beyond that, I also see where the key principals are giving their financial information, and they're also acting as general partners in the deal as well. So yes, and another great question. And that's negotiable, right? So there's people that say, listen, I'm going to go in as a KP, but I'm going to give my financial information, but I'm not investing any money. They want to see your experience and how you're doing in the deal and everything else. And then after the first deal, they'll feel more comfortable putting in that capital. So I've seen that too. And then I've seen where the key principal is saying, I'm not only going to put up the hard money up front, I'm also going to go ahead and give my financials, and I'm going to put some of my own equity in the deal as well. So these are things you can negotiate with your sponsors or key principals. And a lot of people are still doing that. And I definitely believe that they're owed some piece of the pie as well for that. Right on. Great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Let's see. Anyone, I believe it's anyone else who has any questions, any other questions, don't be shy. This is a perfect time to ask it. If I don't know, because I don't know everything, I'll definitely refer you to someone, or I'll look up the answer to your question and I'll get back to you with that as well. I don't pretend to know everything there is to know about multifamily. I've learned a lot over the years, but I'm also a glass half full person. So for me, I know that as much as I've learned, there's still plenty of space to learn. And so I'm always eager to learn as well. I'm a constant learner, right? Lifelong student, if you will. All right. Let's see what else here. Has anyone here gone as far as maybe the buyer call or almost to the buyer call and then not been awarded the deal? No one yet? Okay. Yeah, because I'll tell you, that happened to me on more than one occasion. And man, I'll tell you, that was heart-wrenching. There was one deal. It was so beautiful. I liked everything about the deal. The numbers were perfect. It wasn't even a complicated deal. It was very simple, cut and dry. The numbers worked out very well. And we had everything. The private equity was aligned. The capital was aligned. The money was going hard. Well, no, the money wasn't going hard. We couldn't even do that then. But anyway, we got all the way to the end. There was a call for offers. So CFO, right? If you guys heard of call for offers, basically they're asking for your highest and best offer. We pretty much gave them our highest and best, and we were down to the last two people. And in the end, we didn't get it. And mind you, this was possibly like, I want to say like 3 weeks into it. And then, so I was like, okay, that's the name of the game, that happens. So we did another deal, same team, get to the point, everything's, we do the LOI, they loved it. We did the PSA, everything's going well. We get to the end and another group gets the deal. And the reason I bring that up is because it's heart-wrenching. It's hard to deal with when, like Ankit has been there doing all the underwriting, researching the property, doing everything you can to find out as much as you can about the property. You might have even done some small due diligence, like the before the LOI, the pre-LOI due diligence, just walking the property, and you've put some time and effort into it. So it becomes like a part of you, this deal. And then to find out at the end that you weren't awarded it, what I have to say to that is, don't let that deter you from continuing in the process, because eventually there will be a deal that you will be awarded. And as long as you don't give up, it could be a week from now, a month from now, 10 years from now. But as long as you don't give up, you will get a deal, and hang in there, keep tight, and you'll see it work out. So
Do they ever provide any feedback? Like when you get to that position where it's like down to 2 and then you don't ultimately get selected, do they provide like what you could have done better, or what was, maybe they provided more competitive terms or higher offer or something?
yeah, and it's kind of weird because with single family, you don't get that. So in single family, if the deal doesn't, if somebody else got awarded the deal, they'll just tell you, look, we went with somebody else. They're not going to tell you the pricing or anything else. But with multifamily, I've been able to talk to the brokers, and that's another thing that I was going to tell you about the buyer call strategies, is to talk to the broker after the deal was denied and somebody else was awarded the deal, and ask them, listen, what could we have done better to have gotten the deal awarded? What did the other deal look like? What else could we have done so that the next time we could have a better chance or get the deal awarded next time? And you'd be surprised, because in multifamily, they are willing to give you that information, and they would tell you, and they'll tell you straight up. And that's helped me. And that's why I tell you that I've gotten closer, because I've gotten, anywhere from like just submitting the LOIs and getting denied up front to getting every time one step closer to closing the deal. So the way that I've done that is I've called up the broker and said, man, I felt so bad. I really wanted that deal. What could I have done differently? How could I fix it? What could I do better next time to get that deal awarded? And a lot of times it's not even about the purchase price. It's more about the terms, closing sooner, having the capital already aligned, having previous experience, having someone on the team with previous experience. So these are other things too that I use in order to get the deals awarded. Excuse me. Do you guys have any, let's say, any terms that you use to get the deal awarded? Has anyone used any terms, favorable terms that would get you the deal awarded? Okay. Has anyone here done a deal at all, a multifamily syndication? Okay. All right. So we're all in the same boat. We're all striving to get there, right? And that's the idea. The idea is to network, like Erickson was saying, learn and possibly partner. And that's what we're here for. And like I said, we have limited partners on this call right now. We have underwriters, general partners like myself, people who have experience in single family and flipping homes and smaller multifamily. So, this is a good place to enter your contact info. I highly recommend that you guys reach out to each other on LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn, but other social media sites. Let me see here. Oh, and then since I'm down here, if you go to the chat box all the way to the end, at the bottom where it says everyone, and you kind of just slide over to the right, it says file. And right next to that, you have the 3 dots. Those 3 dots, if you click on it, you should be able to save the chat. I don't know if you guys have done that in the past. Matthew, have you been able to do that?
Yep, I got it. I got everyone's contact info and reached out to a couple on LinkedIn. So thanks, brother.
My pleasure. So you guys, thank you for that. Because I thought Stacy was sending it out. And when she sent out the email, I noticed that I wasn't getting the chat box contact information. So definitely go down here next to file, press on those 3 dots and copy, save the chat. It'll be saved to your computer. And that way you can reach out to everyone who's here on the call today. And also, this meetup is going to be recorded, or it's being recorded. It's going to be edited. and it's going to be saved and uploaded to my YouTube channel. So I hope that you guys can meet me there as well on my YouTube channel. You could reach me at Carlos D. Reinoso, just like you see under my name here, Carlos D. Reinoso, at my YouTube channel. And there you could go and see all the resources from previous meetups. I also have from my other meetup, which is Multifamily Meetup Mondays. And there we usually bring a guest, and the guest presents on a topic. We've had Clay Malcolm present on 401k, investing with your 401k and self-directed IRAs. We've had Clay Allen present on agency debt with Old Capital Lending, and many others. And then I'm also going to be getting more guests to come on Multifamily Meetup Mondays, which is my virtual meetup as well. And with Multifamily Investor Nation meetup that we're in right now, I'm also looking to possibly bring more and more investors. So I hope that you guys will join us for that. If there's nothing else, free forum, we could talk about anything you guys would like to talk about. And Carlos,
I have a question.
Sure.
You mentioned earlier about the terms, and they want proof of capital. They want the capital there. So if you're a syndicator, obviously you're going to go raise the capital. How do you show them that you have the capital if you're going to be raising it?
Right. That's a great question. And that's the whole point, that as a syndication, you're not going to be able to show them the capital.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So how do you compete with that? How do you on a deal with that?
Right. So here's the thing. When you're working with deals that are 100 plus units, not so much 100, but let's say from 200 up, you're going to have institutional investors, right? And they already have, like, let's say like a whale investor, right? Or they're like one major group, and it's like a fund of a fund, or it's a REIT, and they already have their capital. So you got to compete with other terms. So you might not have the capital available, but you could say, listen, this is our history, this is our experience. We've taken down 10 deals, and be able to back that up, right? And say, look, I've done syndications with Multifamily Investor Nation, or I'm part of the group. Like in my case, I wouldn't say I've done syndications. I would say, listen, I've done joint ventures, I've done fix and flips, I've done 5 and 6 units, and I'm looking to syndicate my first deal, but I'm bringing on this key principal, and this person has this experience, and they have the financing to back it. So sometimes if you do have a key principal, you could base it on their capital, their finances, right? But it's kind of hard to compete when you have institutional lenders, institutional investors, that all they got to do is say, here's a printout of our funds, right? So sometimes you're just not going to be able to compete. But if you're working on smaller deals, then you have a little bit more leeway to compete and say, they don't have, the other people who are here also don't have that liquidity. So then the next thing would be terms. And I could say, listen, I could close sooner. I could put hard money up front. I could bring in, experienced investors. I have my own property management team, and it just, there's a lot of different terms that you could use. But if you don't have the capital available off the cuff, then your next thing to do is, what else could I negotiate with? And, it's a great point, because if you're competing against institutional investors, then you might want to bring it down a notch and say, maybe this is out of my league. Maybe I'm not here yet to be able to compete with these people. But at the very least, you're learning the process, right? But what you could consider in that case is say, okay, I can't compete with 300 units with these people, but maybe what I could do is bring it down a notch and say, I'm gonna, compete in the 100 to 200 units, or 50 to 100 units. And I think that would be a safer spot for, a newer investor or someone who doesn't have the capital, ready to go. Awesome question.
And in terms of the lenders, they're looking at the financials of all the members in the GP, correct?
Yeah, they're going to look at the overall team. but they really want to see that you have experience. So beyond the capital, beyond the hard money and everything else, they want to know, are you going to be able to execute? Because that's what it boils down to. And how do I know you're going to execute if you've never closed a deal before? One of the ways to help in that process is to say, well, you know, I haven't closed on a deal, on a syndication deal before, but these are the kinds of deals that I have closed. And on top of that, look, I have this key principal who's got the financials, who has taken down 5 syndications, 20 syndications, whatever the case might be, and they're on my team. And in my case also, I was going to say another example is I'm part of this meetup with Dan Hanford and the multifamily investor team. So I could, you know, I have Dan as a sounding board where I could go to him and say, Dan, we have this deal. I'm trying to appeal to the seller. Anything else you could recommend to get us the deal awarded? So, you know, being part of a mastermind can help in that aspect. Networking with key principals and sponsors. Now, a very important point when dealing with key principals, and I'm telling you this because it's again something that I've had the experience with personally. When you're dealing with a key principal, don't call him 2 days before you saw a deal, and 2 days before you want to put in an LOI, you want to contact this awesome investor who's experienced, who's got the best connections, who's got the finances in play. Don't contact them 2 days earlier or 2 days after, right before you put in the LOI, and say, oh, by the way, you want to be a key principal on my deal. Because guess what's going to happen there? That person is going to be a little disappointed that you waited till last minute to bring them in on the deal. So from my own experience, it wasn't exactly like that, but I should have given the investor more time. And luckily, they were patient with me, and they explained, definitely, kind of get to know the investors first, and not just like even a week before or even a month before. There's no set time as far as exactly when to do it, but you definitely want to establish the relationship in advance. Like Brock and I were talking earlier, and he mentioned, okay, I might not be able to invest in this deal because even though I know the investor, we might not have an established relationship. So right there, he might have missed out on an opportunity to invest in a great syndication. So the other thing to do is say, these people that I'm meeting at these meetups and these virtual meetups and in person and everything else, let me get to know these people. Let me start a relationship with these people, because in the end, real estate is a relationship business. More than anything else, more than a capital business, more than a real estate business, it's a relationship business, especially in syndications. So to answer that, I would say the best thing to do is have others that are also in the industry on your team and contact them in advance whenever possible. You guys, awesome questions, really, all of you. Appreciate that. Let's see.
I have one more question. For those in Atlanta area, are there any in-person meetups going on at this point? I know, Carlos, I've seen one that you've had, and I think I signed up for that. I might try to get to the next one. I'm not sure exactly the time, but it was in Sandy Springs somewhere. I think it was a Friday for lunch.
That was awesome, by the way. Yeah, that was Old Capital Lending. Does anybody else have another one? No? Okay. Feel free to unmute, you guys. Open forum, talk about whatever you want to talk about. But yeah, Brock, I'll have to look it up what it's called, but basically Clay Allen, which I was just talking about, agency debt with Old Capital Lending. They have a group. You go to Eventbrite, you could see it. And I believe this Thursday, I'm not going to be able to go because I'm going to be in the summit. It might be either this Thursday or next. They do have an in-person meetup. Last time it was at Taco Mac in Sandy Springs in Atlanta. And what's his name? Paul Peoples. Paul Peoples was there from Old Capital Lending. And, they had a nice presentation. And they are meeting in person, and it was great. There was food involved. $10 got you in the door, but the food was abundant. I mean, I ate a whole lunch and still had, leftovers, And they even said, if you guys want to take some food with you, go ahead, because it was just that much food available. That was really a great one. If you go to my Facebook page, you could also see the post there with Paul Peoples. I have a photo with Paul Peoples, also on my LinkedIn. But that's a great one because Clay Allen, you could talk to someone who's a direct lender here in Georgia for Old Capital. A lot of people, you talk about Brad Sumrock and all those people that have their own, what's the word? They're gurus, right? They have their own little courses and everything else. They always a lot of them use Old Capital lending. I have that as a good resource. Clay Allen, is awesome. He's very willing to analyze your deals as well. He's one of the underwriters that I use as well. He's also there with Stephen Quesenberry, however you want to pronounce it. He's an investor. He's an LP on deals as well. And they meet at least once a month, every month. So I'll definitely send you the link. And if in case you can't wait or whatnot, you could also go to Eventbrite.
I think I might have signed up for those invites. I think the next ones, I think I got the thing for that one already. So
yeah, it's a great one. I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Last time I possibly met, in fact, one of the people that I met there last time is an LP, and he was talking about promoting what I'm doing with the virtual meetup and possibly helping me expand it. And what you guys are possibly going to be seeing in the very near future, is going to be, I'm going to be doing these virtual meetups 4 times a month. So I'm going to be doing once a week, and you can look forward to that in the very near future. I'm doing everything I can in my power to make that happen. And like I said, this person and I are going to be sitting down and talking about how we could expand the virtual meetup, not only for Multifamily Investor Nation, but also for my my other meetup, which is Multifamily Meetup Mondays.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you that. Has anybody seen any good deals lately? Any good deals in the pipeline?
No.
I'm gonna start sending you what I get, Brock, because I'm not exaggerating, like 10 a week or more.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start sending. It's not to say that everyone that I send you, I think you should invest in.
Oh no.
Right, but I think at the very least, it'll kind of get you connected with the people who are sourcing deals right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
and even just looking at numbers, because it's interesting seeing different people's presentations. You can pick up a lot just on that.
Yeah, let me tell you, a lot of times with the presentation, I go just to see how they present on the properties.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, like Dan's, you have to be an accredited investor, but I go anyway. And I tell, I always announce that, hey, by the way, I'm not an accredited investor, I'm sophisticated. And I could tell you what sophisticated investor is right after, but I would tell you that go see how they do the presentation, because at some point, if you're serious about this business, you're gonna have to capital raise. And when you see how they do the webinars and how they present the properties and how they bring people in, it's going to be a great learning source, right? You're going to learn and pick up a lot of information. So definitely summits are always a good place to go as well for learning and networking. And yeah, so definitely. Anything else you guys want to talk about today? Erickson, Ethan, anything you guys want to contribute to the conversation?
No, I'm good. Just here learning.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. And Ethan, you were the one that was saying you're also here in Georgia, right? I guess you're still muted, but yeah, I'll take that as a yes. I think you're still an investor here in Georgia. So let's definitely talk at some point. You have my contact information there. Let's keep in contact. Like Brock was just mentioning, if I could refer you to, let's say, a summit that I know is going to be beneficial, or in-person meetup, or another investor reach out to me. Best place to find me and that I could introduce you to other investors, I would say, is LinkedIn. You know, I have a huge following. I want to say about 400 now investors and people in the industry are on my LinkedIn page. And beyond that, they're also they're investors that are willing to share information with others. So they're not greedy with their info. They're experienced investors. And yeah, for the most part, from those 400, the majority are people in the industry, property managers, limited partners, general partners, and property managers, contractors. So yeah, I definitely have a great list that I can refer you to. So thank you guys. Everyone is cutting off, so I'm gonna go ahead and close it out here. But thank you guys for showing up today. I hope to see you in the next one. This has been Multifamily Investor Nation Meetup. Thank you so much for showing up. This is Carlos D. Reinoso signing off. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Yeah, bye.
Take care, guys. All right, guys. So this was Multifamily Investor Nation Monday Meetup. I'm very grateful for the guests that we had here today. Ethan, thank you so much for sticking around. Feel free to ask me any questions. It's just you and I here now. And I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who did show. And I look forward to seeing you guys on our next meetups. Again, this is Carlos D. signing off.
Very nice having you.
Thank you, Ethan. Take care, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.